Hey YouTube, how you doing? My name's Mark. This is my 24-gallon Aquatop saltwater reef tank that I'm starting up. About me, I was into saltwater between 1990 and 2001 for 11 years. I believed in the poor man's techniques because it's a system what I could afford to do. I had a 55-gallon acrylic and a 100-gallon glass. The 100-gallon glass had live rock in it. It had an under gravel system still in effect, and I also worked on experimenting with my own design of submersible trickle filtration. And in my 55-gallon acrylic, I had a 10-gallon sump and experimented with algae scrubbers before they were a common name. By accident, by placing a light over an old under gravel tray and having the water trickle over it. Anyways, I've been out of the field for 18 years, and I just recently started to get back into it. One thing, even though I can't afford high-end everything, I still think it's a waste of money when you don't have to spend it on a system. One of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of people in YouTube and in the field, and they give up right away, is they don't let their tank cycle through. That's like the number one common mistake. It takes 4 to 6 weeks. You can't put any kind of bacteria in it and think a week later you can put fish and corals. They're all going to die, and you're going to waste time and time again. You're going to waste your money. I'm going to have this one going on for right about 8 days now, and I did put nitrifying bacteria. And today I actually went to one of my aquarium shops here in town and got another different style of nitrifying bacteria, but I also put a couple of crabs and 2 turbo snails in there just to try to get the ammonia system developed and the biological filtration established in the rear of the tank. This came with a protein skimmer. One trick, and it's recommended in some different discussions, you can find people submerge their protein skimmer entirely in vinegar for 12 hours, which I did. It takes off any of the plastics or residues from the manufacturer, and it helps kickstart the skimmer. I've also done some upgrades. I try to stay minimal, but unfortunately, because I want to run soft and hard corals and vertebrates, I had to go high-end in the lighting, which is HD prime. My light's not here yet, but I got the bracket put on. I'm going to go and start walking around some of the things that I've done here. I went to the aquarium shop today, and I made this Red Sea top, custom top. I like the way it looks, plus it adds to aeration versus the glass top that came stock with this. Like I said, this is the stock lighting, but I also ordered a timer, and you can cut into where the switching mechanism is, and you can modify this stock light to where the day and the night and everything works off of timing, so that's not a real big issue to modify that. Well, I'm an electrician by living, so it's electrical and electronic, so for me it's easy. Anyways, that's a frame for the HD Prime once it comes in. I also added another pump down below for aeration and water movement, which is very, very important when you have a reef tank. In the back here, also what's important is I added the extra white fiber material there, and that is so they can protect and keep the residue from the protein skimmer away from your trickle filter. Also, I added a little venturi there for more air control. What's really important in these protein skimmers, I see a lot of people too when they get these 24 gallons or don't have experience with protein skimmers, is they're very picky about the air gas mixture ratio of the bubbles. Also, it's never really stays the same. Usually you'll get a happy spot and you get a resonant performance where that works ideal and you get the perfect amount of skimming. But 2 weeks later it could change. You know, your biology system in your tank is always constantly changing, so therefore you have to do slight adjustments, you know, one direction or the other. So it's also good to have some kind of adjustable venturi put on there, and you can get those really cheap online. I also picked up a couple water containers. These run at local fish store about 12 to 15 bucks a piece, and I picked these up for $5 a piece used and cleaned them up, and they work fine. I used one and filled it up with RO water, and that one right there has a salt mix already that came from my aquarium store. This is the salt that I'll be using. I ordered it from marinedepot.com, and that bag is about the amount that I need for a typical 5-gallon mixture. When you do your water changes, in a 24-gallon, doing them 1 to 3, anywhere between 1 to 3 gallons a week should be sufficient, and you either move that up or down depending on how your elements or trace elements and whatnot that you're adding with this salt, how they're adjusted. Of course, that's my hose to do my water cleanings and water exchanges. Coming back to the tank, I was looking around different heaters and I really couldn't find the size that I wanted since I have a smaller tank. So I went back and actually just got this from PetSmart. It's a top fin, ran me about 25 bucks. It's a shorter one. It's pre-calibrated at 78 degrees. I guess I have some junk in here. I have, those are my test kits right there. I have one for saltwater, and I also have the other one for the more advanced one for reef testing. Those are pre-cut filters there. That's the transformer that I ordered. So when you separate the lighting, you open the switch, and basically, let's say you can separate either the blue or the white light off, and then you run it to a separate 120 volt AC to 12 volt DC 2 amp minimum transformer, and then you can hook it up to timers just such as this, or these cheap little $4 timers you can get from Walmart. The sand that I used, people were kicking around live sand, and some people put in, 10 pound, 20 pound. I knew I didn't want to have hardly any sand. I don't even have a 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch. I just have mine just barely to cover the ground. I just used a 5 pound non-live sand. Ran me about $7 at my marine aquarium store, so that worked sufficient for me. Like I said in one of the other videos, if you've seen any of my short videos, 1-minute videos, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and maybe that purple one back there, purple coralline, 5 live rocks. I got live rock crumbles. There used to be in a filter, but just changed my mind and decided to put ceramic bio round cubes, sorry, but you know what I mean, the round ceramics for developing the nitrifying bacteria. That's on my 3rd layer. My 2nd layer, it's filled with these crumbles here, which are basically scrap live rock, and then the top layer is for my carbon. I didn't use any of the stuff that came with the Aquatop. They had like little sponge coated with carbon, the other one was coated with phosphate, and I took all that out. I didn't use that. So this is what I have so far, and this is only the 8th day. So the nitrifying starter that I used was, hang on. The nitrifying bacteria that I used was seed, the Aqua Vitro. That would have worked for sufficient. It wasn't as successful as the Dr. Tim Aquatic. Of course, Dr. Tim's is a lot more expensive. This little bottle here ran me $29, and it's refrigerated at your aquarium store. Whereas the seed ran me about $8 or $9. The seed should be sufficient enough. I wanted to cheat a little bit and kickstart to get it a little bit more established.